1st, 1960. 68,000 feet above the Soviet Union, a black American aircraft slices through air so thin the pilot has to wear what is essentially a spacesuit. He believes no missile on Earth can reach him. He believes no fighter jet can climb high enough to touch him. He is wrong on both counts, and by the end of this day a president will lie to the world. A summit between superpowers will collapse, and at least one man wearing a Soviet uniform will die by the hand of his own side, in a story his own country will bury for decades. This is the story of the U-2 incident. Not the version you've heard. All of it. By 1960, the United States has a problem. Nobody in Washington actually knows what the Soviet Union is building. Satellite reconnaissance barely exists. So the CIA does something almost absurd for the era. It builds an airplane meant to fly higher than anything else in the sky. High enough, the thinking goes, to be functionally invisible. The Lockheed U-2. A glider with a jet engine bolted on. It can reach altitudes over 70,000 feet, well above the operational ceiling of any Soviet interceptor and, in theory, out of range of Soviet surface-to-air missiles. For 4 years, U-2 flights slip over Soviet territory largely undetected, photographing missile sites, airfields, nuclear facilities. The Soviets know the flights are happening. They can even track them on radar. What they cannot do so far is stop one. On the morning of May 1st, pilot Francis Gary Powers takes off from a base in Peshawar, Pakistan. His flight plan is enormous, straight across the width of the Soviet Union, photographing military sites along the way, landing 9 hours later in Norway. It is the deepest penetration mission the program has ever attempted. Powers believes, as every U-2 pilot has been told, that he is essentially unreachable. That belief is about to be tested. What Washington doesn't know, what almost nobody outside the Soviet military knows for decades, is what's happening beneath that airplane. Soviet Air Defense Command has been tracking the intruder since it crossed the border, and they have a problem of their own. None of their regular fighter jets can climb high enough to reach it. Interceptor after interceptor is scrambled. Interceptor after interceptor falls short. Then someone remembers there's a brand new Sukhoi Su-9 sitting on the runway at a nearby airfield. Not on patrol, not armed, not even assigned to this base. It's a factory-fresh aircraft being ferried to a different unit entirely, flown by a captain named Igor Mentyukov, who woke up that morning expecting a routine delivery flight. No missiles, no cannons, nothing. The order that comes down is almost medieval in its simplicity. Intercept the target, and if you can't shoot it down, ram it. It is, in effect, an order to trade a pilot's life to bring down a single spy plane. Mentyukov climbs to intercept altitude. He never manages to line up the impact. The speed difference between the two aircraft is too extreme. The ramming attempt fails. He returns to base having risked everything for nothing. But the chaos in the sky over the Urals that morning claims a life anyway, just not the one anyone intended. In the confusion of multiple missile batteries firing at radar contacts almost simultaneously, a young Soviet lieutenant named Sergei Safronov, flying a MiG-19 in the same intercept effort, is struck down by his own country's air defenses. He dies in the wreckage of his own aircraft, killed by the very system meant to protect Soviet skies. It is a detail that does not fit the story Soviet commanders want to tell, and for a long time, it doesn't get told at all. This episode isn't about picking a side. It's about what both governments were willing to hide from their own people. If that's the kind of history you want more of, this is the moment to hit subscribe. The story is about to get worse for everyone involved. At 8:53 a.m. local time, a salvo of S-75 surface-to-air missiles rises toward Powers' aircraft. One of them detonates close enough to tear the U-2's long, fragile wings apart in midair. The aircraft, never designed to survive a direct hit, begins to disintegrate around him. Powers is thrown clear of the wreckage rather than ejecting in the conventional sense. His parachute opens. He drifts down over Soviet farmland, alive, and, critically, the self-destruct mechanism built into the aircraft never activates. That single mechanical failure changes everything that follows. Within hours, Soviet farmers and soldiers are picking through nearly intact wreckage, cameras, film, classified equipment, and a very much alive American pilot in Soviet custody. 4,000 miles away, nobody in Washington has any idea any of this has happened yet. When the U-2 fails to check in over Norway, the cover story machine starts moving almost automatically. NASA, the same NASA meant to represent peaceful American science, issues a statement. A U-2 conducting high-altitude weather research had gone missing, likely after the pilot experienced oxygen difficulties. It is a clean, plausible, entirely fabricated story, and Eisenhower's administration signs off on it, assuming, reasonably, given past missions, that if the plane went down, it went down at 70,000 feet with no usable wreckage and no living pilot to contradict the narrative. For several days, that assumption holds. The American press repeats the weather plane story without much skepticism. It looks, for a moment, like the lie is going to work. It won't. Nikita Khrushchev already has the pilot. He already has the wreckage. He already has the cameras and the film. And instead of announcing any of it immediately, he waits. He lets Washington repeat the weather plane story to the world. Lets American officials commit to it publicly, on the record, more than once, before he finally reveals what Moscow has actually been holding: a living, breathing American pilot, and hardware specific and intact enough to leave no room for doubt. The effect is immediate and brutal. The United States isn't just caught spying. It's caught lying about being caught spying on the world stage, days after insisting otherwise. Eisenhower is forced into something no American president had done before, publicly acknowledging an active espionage program against the Soviet Union. There's no weather balloon left to hide behind. The timing could not be worse. A four-power summit in Paris. Eisenhower, Khrushchev, de Gaulle, and Macmillan, meant to ease Cold War tensions, is scheduled to begin just 2 weeks later. Khrushchev demands an apology. Eisenhower won't give one. Khrushchev walks out, and the summit that was supposed to cool the Cold War collapses before it properly begins. Powers is put on trial in Moscow, a very public, very deliberate demonstration of Soviet strength. He's convicted of espionage and sentenced to 10 years, 3 in prison, 7 in a labor camp. He serves less than 2. In February 1962, in the freezing pre-dawn dark on the Glienicke Bridge connecting East and West Berlin, Powers is walked across the frost-covered concrete in exchange for a Soviet intelligence officer, Rudolf Abel, held in the United States. neither government fully trusts the other to honor the exchange until it's actually happening. Snipers are said to be positioned on both sides. Two men cross a bridge in silence, and a chapter of the Cold War quietly closes. Powers goes home to a country that isn't quite sure whether to treat him as a hero or an embarrassment. Mentyukov goes back into obscurity, his ramming order and its failure left out of the official story for decades, and Sergei Safronov is buried as a casualty of an incident his own government will spend years declining to fully explain. Three men, three very different silences. The official Soviet account credited a missile. A Soviet pilot insisted, until his death, that it was his own aircraft's wake. A young lieutenant died, proving how little anyone actually had it under control. And an American president had to stand in front of the entire world and admit his government had been lying. Not because he chose to, but because he got caught. That's the part usually left out of the story, not the spy plane, not the missile, the silence afterward, on both sides of the Iron Curtain. If you want more of these files, the ones both sides tried to keep closed, subscribe to Forgotten Files. There are more still waiting to be declassified.